In this video, me and my good friend Nutter22, also known as Ollie, survived Minecraft for 100 days without dying. Now if you guys don't know, one Minecraft day is 20 minutes long. This means we put 33 hours of pure game time into this video, and that doesn't even include the editing, which could add it up to about 40 hours. So if you guys could like the video, that would be much appreciated, and I am on my way to 400 subs at the moment, so clicking subscribe would really help out as well. I'll link Ollie's channel in the description, as he will also be making a video on this, and I hope you guys enjoy. So, day one of our adventure began. We started chopping down trees and making some wooden tools. Then we found this weird lava pit where we collected our first bits of stone and made some brand new tools. We set out to adventure for a place to build a house, and on our way we needed some food, and we saw these pigs. Weirdly, I don't know what happened to those pigs. They must have just disappeared. I'm not sure quite where they went though. But we kept on adventuring to find a place where we could build a house. We ended up running into an abandoned portal, where there were lots of sheep for us to share, so that we could make beds for the night. We looted up the portal and decided to steal the wool from the sheep. At this point we called it a night as the sun was setting, so we laid our beds down and got some sleep. On day 2 we woke up nice and early and headed out on our adventure. We found an underwater ruins where we managed to get an enchanted fishing rod, which was nice, and then we carried on our adventure, which took us to a desert temple. We didn't get much loot in the desert temple, but we did decide to put our beds down and get some sleep. On day 3 we noticed there was a village behind the desert temple, and before checking it out we decided to mine some iron in a cave nearby. Once we had explored the whole village, we noticed there was a nice bit of land behind it where we wanted to set up our house, so we started clearing the land and mining some trees. We then started putting the foundations of our house up, and as it started to get dark we put our beds down and slept. On day 4 to 5, me and Ollie decided to split up. I worked on the foundations of the house, which required mining a lot of dirt and then placing a lot of oak pillars, whilst Ollie went mining for iron. We ended up also making a sheep farm and finding a wandering trader where one of the llamas decided to not stop spitting at us, so we had to kill it, but we kept the other llama. I also managed to get a horse in these days, which I took and put into the cow pen which we made. On day 6 and 7, we decided to go mining for some diamonds. We did manage to find some diamonds while mining, so that was good. I went back up to the surface on day 7 and decided to work on the house again. We started putting the flooring of our house down, and I also gathered some obsidian so that we could start making an enchantment table. Next up, I decided that I should go out and get some more wood because we needed a lot of wood for the flooring and just for the walls of our house. I went and mined wood for a whole day whilst Ollie went mining. I then decided to extend the sheep farm and the cow farm when I got back, just so that we could have more space for the cows and sheep. I then started working on a basement for our house, where I decided to put a nether portal right underneath the main window. I had to get some extra obsidian for this, but it turned out looking good, and I entered the nether on day 10. I just decided to move the portal to the location that it should have been, so that it lined up with the overworld. On day 12, I decided to explore the nether. This included getting a bunch of quartz which I needed in order to make an automatic sugarcane farm. I also collected up a load of the new blocks, including these shroom lights, which I thought could work quite well in the house. I did have a close call with a piglin at one point, but I managed to survive on 2 hearts. On day 13 and 14, I decided to work on the sugarcane farm. I wanted to make an automatic one, and this required me to get a lot of materials. First of all, I needed a lot of cobblestone for the observers, so I went and collected that. And this is a great time to remind you guys to hit that subscribe button down below and the like button, as that would really help out my channel. Once I collected enough cobblestone, I decided to make the observers and work on the sugarcane farm. I just made a small design as we didn't need much, we just needed a few bookshelves so that we could get a level 30 enchant table. Whilst I was doing the sugarcane, Ollie was working on the floor of our house. Me and Ollie then decided that it was a good idea that we should get some diamond armor. So we decided to go mining. We went strip mining for a total of about 3 days, I think it was, where we managed to actually get quite a few diamonds, which was good. Once we got back up to the surface, we made some diamond pickaxes and got to enchanting. I managed to get a Fortune 3 pickaxe, so I decided to go back to mining to get even more diamonds. On day 20, I decided to collect a load of birch logs. We then also found a zombie villager at night, and we decided to keep him in the basement to hide him from the sun. We also decided to name him Steve, cause who doesn't like to be called Steve? Next up, me and Ollie decided to go netherite mining. We just dug down to a low Y level and just started mining everything out. I almost broke my pickaxe at one point, but I went back up to the overworld and decided to make it an efficiency 5 pickaxe. We managed to get a lot of netherite in these days, and we decided to smelt it all up. On day 23 to 25, I decided to explore the nether. I ventured far and wide, and it took me a while before I managed to find a fortress. However, this fortress has multiple blaze spawners, so it was really good for loot. I managed to get 2 wither skeleton skulls, as well as a bunch of blaze rods and magma cubes. I then decided to make a bridge all the way back to our portal, so it was easy to get back to the fortress. After exploring the nether for so many days, I decided it was time to take a break. So I decided to work on a wheat farm for the next few days. I actually took inspiration from a TikTok I saw on this, as I thought it looked really cool. I also enchanted a lot of my tools and did a bit of brewing. After spending many days at our base, I then decided it was time to go exploring in the nether. I ended up finding a bastion and fought hard to get all of the loot inside of it. I got plenty of gold from this and a bit of netherite too. I also started completing more of the wheat farm, and also I spent a whole day collecting a bunch of wood. I decided we're gonna need a lot of wood for our base and for other things, so I just decided to get almost an inventory full. I made a Smite 5 sword with all my levels as well, taking me all the way back down to 1 level. Me and Ollie then decided to start finishing up the basement for the villagers. We built a really nice design downstairs and ended up putting our first villager in place. I then searched the world in order to find dark oak trees. We wanted to get some dark oak logs in order to improve our house. I then also started making potions of weakness so that we could start transforming our zombie villager. In addition to this, I also made some netherite tools and started working on a pathway to connect the village and our house. I ended up making a temporary water stream just to transport a few villagers towards our house. I also tamed a horse in these days and managed to transport a few villagers over, and we put them inside of boats with zombies behind them so that we could instantly transform them a few times. We made the first villager we got a librarian, and it ended up giving us a mending and unbreaking 3 trade, which was really good. So if you guys don't know in Minecraft, breeding animals gives a lot of XP. So we decided to make a massive cow farm. In doing this, we actually created a lot of lag for ourselves. So in order to transport the cows from our house far away, I decided to make a little tunnel. After doing this, I decided to do a bit of netherite mining, just so that we could get full netherite armor for both me and Ollie. I then did some more breeding of the cows for even more XP, and transported more villagers over towards our base. As we transported the villagers over, we also ended up transforming them multiple times, so that we could get the best possible trades from them. This included getting a sticks trade, which ended up being 1 stick for 1 emerald, which is the best trade that we could get. Ollie was also working on a really cool basement design at this time, which included our enchantment room. Me and Ollie then decided we wanted to work on our gear a bit more, so we started working on trading with the villagers and enchanting a lot of our items. I then decided to finish making the cow farm and then start transporting all of the cows over, using my tunnel that I had made. This took a good few days to do, and after doing this, I decided to go to the nether to collect some shroom lights. After collecting these shroom lights, I then proceeded to work on the wheat farm a bit more, and I actually managed to finish the wheat farm within these 3 days. The wheat farm took a lot of time, but this wasn't even at its final stage, as I wanted to add a potato farm underneath it, which would end up taking us a lot of time as well. After completing the wheat farm, I then decided our house needed a lot of work doing, so I then started redesigning the front of the house. After doing this, I decided to make an upstairs of the house, which included 2 staircases either side of the window. I realised there wasn't much light coming into our house at this point, so I ended up putting glass windows everywhere by the end of day 100, but you'll see that later on. I also made a back porch with a large entrance into the house. I then saw that the wheat was fully grown, so I decided to farm lots of it and breed the cows for more XP. I did a lot of enchanting in these days as we were preparing to kill the wither soon, so I also went to the nether and collected more wither skeleton skulls. After doing this, we made a bunch of potions so that we'll be ready for the wither, and then we went down to the mines to go kill the wither. I went first and I killed the Wither really quickly because of my Smite 5 sword. Ollie went up next and he did just the same. We came back up out of the mines with 2 nether stars so that we could make 2 beacons. After defeating the Wither, we then decided to set up our beacons. We realised we're going to need a lot of ores, so we decided to go strip mining for 3 full days. After doing this, we put all of our ores in the furnaces, and then I decided to make some netherite boots. I also did some more breeding so that I could get even more levels in this day. After crafting all of the ores into blocks and placing them down for the beacon, we still needed a lot more ores, so we went back to doing more mining. After smelting these ores up, we then decided to move the sheep away, as the sheep were starting to cause us lag at our house. I made the pathway for the sheep away into the desert, and after finishing it, we then moved the sheep. Unfortunately, I forgot to put fences down where we were transporting the sheep to, so a lot of the sheep actually ended up escaping, but we managed to keep a fair few of them in the cage. We then crafted all of the ores into blocks and placed them under the beacon to create our fully powered beacon. After finishing up with the beacon and the sheep, I then decided to go back to working on the house. I wanted to put a lot of quartz in upstairs, but unfortunately we didn't have much, so I decided to spend a whole day in the nether collecting quartz. After mining plenty of quartz, I went back to the overworld and started placing it in the house. I also placed a lot of glass on our house in these days, and then I worked on trying to get a god axe. I ended up getting a really good efficiency axe which I used to mine a lot of wood. I then used this wood to create a nice balcony at the front of our house. I then decided to collect a bunch of sand for the glass for the wheat farm. After mining out a ton of the sand, we then decided to move the beacon towards the wheat farm to help us mine out the area underneath. During this process, we also started making the potato farm underneath the wheat. We would mine out the walls and then place in the new layer underneath. This took a lot of time as we had to get the proportions the exact same as they were above. We wanted the potato farms underneath to copy the same shape as the wheat farms above, so this took a lot of time to measure out the lengths. After finally finishing with the potato farm, we then started placing all the potatoes in and making a grand entrance to the place. After working hard on the massive potato project, we then decided to go back to our house and start finishing things off there. We added a roof on top of our house and moved all of the chests upstairs. We sorted all the chests at this point, and we also finished landscaping the area around our house just to make it look a bit nicer. After completely finishing the house, we then started preparing for the end. On day 98, we decided to make a bunch of potions for the Ender Dragon. We made sure to make slow falling potions so that we wouldn't die of full damage, and we also made strength potions so that we could deal extra damage to the dragon. On day 99, we searched up for the stronghold in attempts to defeat the Ender Dragon. After successfully finding it, me and Ollie made sure all of our stuff was ready and jumped into the end. After destroying all of her pillars, we then decided to start bowing down the dragon. With Ollie's insane sniper skills, he managed to end up killing the Ender Dragon with his Power 5 bow, and this was the end for this creature. After collecting the egg and all of the XP, we then headed home. Whilst this was the end of our journey, me and Ollie had something special planned, so we decided to have our final 1v1.